Thank you so much for joining us, Minister. It's been a while, but deferred is not denied, and we get the opportunity to tell each other Happy Independence Day.
Happy Independence Day to you as well, Dike, and to all the viewers across Trinidad and Tobago and beyond.
And I like the opportunity that we get to speak on Independence Day because it gives us a slightly different nuance to address the topic of independence. But so, from a foreign policy perspective, what are some of the things that come to mind, the factors that you, as the line minister, need to take into consideration when you think about independence?
Well, Independence Day is very special to Trinidad and Tobago. It's our nation's birthday. As our founding father, Dr. Eric Williams, would have declared back in 1962, this was the occasion when we began to play our part as a sovereign, small but sovereign nation in the affairs of the world. And Trinidad and Tobago has certainly done exactly that. We started off, I would say, as a very young nation, but now 59 years is the age of maturity, as it were. And we're certainly playing our role in regional and international affairs. Trinidad and Tobago has had a reputation of punching above its weight class in ensuring that our highly educated and experienced citizens are serving us and the world in capacities at a number of premier agencies across the world. I just said goodbye and had a send-off for our new judge representing Trinidad and Tobago and serving at the ICC. We have a long tradition of foundation and support at the level of the ICC, at the level of the WHO, at the level of the United Nations, at the level of Commonwealth, and so many other entities, the ACP, CELAC, and many bodies that really help shape the development and evolution of peace and security, both for our region and for countries right around the world. Trinidad and Tobago's foreign policy really has been regarded as an example by countries who became independent after us. And that's an aspect of our national life that we should be very proud of. I want to remind you, Dike, that we have three main pillars on which our foreign policy rests, and those are, of course, respect for sovereign nations and respect for the sovereign equality of all states around the world. The other principle is the issue of non-interference in the internal affairs of sovereign countries, and there's one qualification to this, in recognizing the international community's responsibility on matters of genocide or other gross violations of human rights. And then the third principle, very important, is respect for international law and the United Nations Charter. And that really is the foundation for Trinidad and Tobago's thrust throughout the world. It's our brand, it's what characterizes our interactions, and it is one of the aspects by which we are known right across the globe.
And I want to follow up on something you said in terms of quoting Dr. Eric Williams, small but sovereign. Being a small but sovereign nation, what are some of the challenges, some of the factors that we had to consider during this pandemic? Because one of the reasons that we have not had this conversation as yet is that we've locked down dates, and then you said, okay, well, there's a shipment of vaccines coming in. So yes, as line minister, during this period of the pandemic, what are some of those things that you've had to deal with, some of those things you've had to encounter?
Well, yes, Dike, we are small, and that has enhanced our appreciation of the power of collective effort. And that has been really the impetus behind our leadership of CARICOM. We spent 6 months under the chairmanship of our Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley, at the helm of CARICOM. And again, inspired by the words that we are stronger together than separately, we have addressed, our family within CARICOM have really tackled this issue of vaccine access head on and to some degree of success, where today I can sit and tell you that we currently have significant volumes of WHO-approved vaccines for the people of this country. If we were having this conversation 6 months ago, it would be with a very different complexion. So because of our small size, the small size of our population, the small market that drug and pharmaceutical countries would see when they look at us, we've had to combine with others to increase our muscle, to increase the volume of our voice and the strength of our advocacy. And Dr. Rowley has certainly achieved this with CARICOM, with the African Union, and with our wide range of diplomatic efforts across the world. I can tell you that as Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, I've worked closely with my peers in many countries, the United States of America, Canada, the United Kingdom, Holland, Japan, South Korea, Argentina, Mexico, Cuba, countries right around the world in seeking the best interest of the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
But how easy has it been to be that agile in terms of saying, okay, well, you're engaging with these groupings, these jurisdictions who may have, by themselves, they may have some acrimony, but you're saying, okay, well, we're respecting all, but we also respect the fact that we are sovereign, so we can engage with these jurisdictions as we see fit for the interests of Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, it's really a question of leadership as well. I've been blessed to have very clear and inspiring leadership in this realm of diplomacy and advocacy, not just with respect to vaccine acquisition, but all the other facets of our foreign policy and our thrust toward the world. And one of the credos that the Prime Minister has shared with me, and it helps guide me and the team at the ministry, is that when you stand on principle, history tends to see you through. If you shift, if your principles are shifting, then you would be judged very harshly. And Trinidad and Tobago has stood by its principles. Larger administrations have changed, and sometimes the atmosphere may have gotten slightly uncomfortable. But by standing on our principles, by maintaining those aspects of our foreign policy that I emphasized a short while ago, it has seen Trinidad and Tobago and has helped steer the region under our leadership through some rough waters to the point today where we can say that we have maintained a zone of peace in the Caribbean region. And for our country, we've maintained excellent relations with countries large and small, some of whom do not see eye to eye, but as a neutral and principled nation, we've been able to exploit our relationships to ensure that our resources, developmental opportunities, ventilators, a wide range of equipment, grant funding, concessional loan financing, training and education for our people, and so many opportunities have come to this nation and will continue to come to this nation through our work at the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs as part of the overall team of the government of Trinidad and Tobago.
And at this point, Minister, we take the opportunity to take a short break. It's Independence Day. We are speaking with Senator Dr. Amery Browne on Foreign and CARICOM Affairs and how it applies to what we are doing Independence Day and beyond. Stay with us. Welcome back. We are speaking with the Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Senator Dr. Amery Browne. And even before we continue the conversation of how it is we treat with those around us, other jurisdictions, other countries. Minister, what has the experience been like for staff during navigating this pandemic, whereas the situation is so fluid? What has that been like for you at the helm of this ministry?
There have been a number of challenges. We have maintained 20 diplomatic missions overseas, seeking the interest of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And we have very courageous staff members serving overseas, sometimes in extremely difficult and often dangerous circumstances. We've had a number of diplomats who've been diagnosed with COVID-19. Some have become ill and symptomatic, and they continue to serve to good effect. We are all, as a family within the ministry, celebrating independence under very unusual circumstances. So whereas at our missions overseas, normally there would be festive events and invitations to stakeholders to come and celebrate our nation's birthday together with us, now we've had to focus a lot on virtual celebrations and reaching out to our stakeholders, carrying the brand of Trinidad and Tobago via unusual means. There's the plus side to that. Some of that is more efficient. I would say some of it might be even more effective. But there's no substitute to that face-to-face interaction, face-to-face in-person diplomacy. And we look forward, we're all working very hard for the day when we can interact in a way that might be considered a little more normal than our interactions of today. But I really want to take this Independence Day to salute our hard-working staff members, both at headquarters and all around the world, who are working for the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
And to continue that point a little bit, Minister, what was it like for staff members working all around the world when there is this sudden closure of borders? People are trying to get in, they're trying to message who they think should have their best interests at heart. And what was that period like?
Well, it continues to some extent because there are countries with even greater movement restrictions at this point than Trinidad and Tobago. So we have staff that are in connection with us, guided by our policies, but at the same time, we emphasize to them, you need to monitor the domestic conditions where you are, the health regulations, ensure that you comply, you keep yourselves and your families safe. In doing so, you are better able to serve members of our diaspora and others who've been really challenged during this pandemic period, challenged with significant burdens. And we want to salute them as well for supporting each other, for always maintaining the good name of Trinidad and Tobago. And many of them abroad have helped our country in various ways, in maintaining connections, sending recommendations, sending sometimes equipment and contacts for various purposes that have assisted us not just with the pandemic, but in other spheres of life. So the diaspora must be saluted, and the staff have always been guided to do more, to reach out more, to be more accessible, to utilize the resources provided by the Cabinet and the Ministry of Finance to support where support is needed for our citizens right across the world. And we've done a good job in that respect, but we always know that we can do better, and we must do better because our nation deserves that.
And a little early in the conversation, Minister, you quoted Eric Williams, Dr. Eric Williams. And I want to reach across the waters a little bit to Barbados and speak of Prime Minister Barrow, who would have described Barbados at the time as friend of all, satellite of none. The relationship within CARICOM, what is that like? Because you just spoke of our Prime Minister holding the chairmanship for 6 months. Do you think that relations have gotten better, gotten worse during the pandemic? Because definitely there's been a lot of conversation, and we've seen vaccines moving from one space to the other. So from your view, where you sit, how do you see the lay of the land?
I see CARICOM as an essential and close-knit family. As in every family, there are disagreements, but fortunately, with good leadership across the region, we've been able to maintain a very productive focus at our meetings of CARICOM when the heads meet, and also our ministers of foreign affairs have regular meetings in which I participate. And there's that sense of camaraderie, there's that sense of focus on the citizens of CARICOM and the future of our region. We all recognize that we're all vulnerable. We are all tied. One storm can pass through this region and set us back years. And that has happened in some circumstances. But we've always stood together, whether it's a volcano, whether it's a threat from another country, whether it's a border dispute. So many threats face us. But CARICOM, to this day, has stood together. We've navigated our disputes or disagreements in a responsible manner, and I'm very proud to be a member of this family of CARICOM and to serve Trinidad and Tobago at that level as well. It really is an honor. And the Prime Minister's decision even to name our ministry, to rename the ministry, and include CARICOM Affairs as part of the very title, reminds us of very important responsibility to this regional body, essential to the future of this region.
As Professor Rex Nettleford would have said, if we don't hang together, we're going to be hung separately. So I really appreciate what it is you're saying. Absolutely. Now, in the final 1.5 minutes, the original reason that we were trying to get you on set since March would have been to not necessarily speak to external relations, but internal relations, because you personally took the decision to sign the men's pledge. So I guess this would be in terms of your closing statement, but what, as an individual, prompted you to take such an action?
I see signing that men's pledge as a very important step. As a young servant of Trinidad and Tobago, a male in public affairs and in the eye of the nation, I see it as very important for me to set the right example, to join with some of my peers across various fields and walks of life, to say that we need to change our culture to ensure that it is one that we can be proud of, one of respect for women and girls right across the landscape of Trinidad and Tobago. It starts at home. It starts with our families. It starts with those around us, but it extends to the workplace, it extends to the playing field, it extends to the media, to our religious organizations, to support, uplift, respect, and elevate women to ensure that they can continue to serve in leadership positions and to help guide us to a better future.
Thank you very much,
We have
Minister.
so many challenges that confront our women and girls, and an essential part of the solution is the attitude and aptitude of our males. I am part of the solution.
And we want to thank you for being part of that solution, as well as your presence here this evening. And on behalf of the entire news team, thank you for tuning in to TTT.